we are ready to dig into this topic today. So professional development, I entitled it Return on Investment, Making the Most of Professional Development. So as the VP of Professional Development, I'm trying to make sure with that all affiliates are informed of all the opportunities that you can offer to your membership, and also have them involved and so on. And I thought there no better way than to, well, I guess I'll let Will go ahead and get started into the slide, because really I thought we could do introductions with what is the best professional development that you attended and what made it the best. And then also thinking about, so that's actually the second slide, Will. So I am Marcia Parcell, the VP for Professional Development for NEAFCS. I just started these responsibilities, so we are tackling new waters here in this position. But there's your questions to think about, and you can just unmute and share if you want, or if you want to put it in the chat, that's great. As I think about what the best professional develops, I think of some of my NEFCS conferences that I've attended, but I've been with Extension for 15 years. So I had the opportunity to be in Montana and Nebraska. And gained lots of things. There's a little piece from each conference that I've attended that I've brought home. Like this time I learned that I need to buy clear shower curtains to put underneath over my tablecloth, the displays, so that my tablecloth doesn't get stained. I loved it. I learned that from somebody at the University of Florida. It's like so simple of a thing, but a great hack. So and then another question is, what do you look for in a productive professional development? So anybody want to unmute and share?
I'll share, Marcia. I've had some great experiences with NEAFCS as well, but the one that sticks out in my mind, because it was early in my career, was a regional 4-H leadership. And it was several states coming together to really prepare individuals who would have any kind of responsibility with 4-H. And it was hands-on. They gave you some hacks with it, some tools, some just little things. How do you get people to come back after you give them a break? And some of those type of things. So I walked out of there with a great toolbox. I walked out of there with having networked. I walked out of there knowing other people in other states. Overall, it was really good.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I would agree. This is Michelle. I would agree with Joey. It's definitely meeting people from other states, especially those that are doing research or programming in a similar area. Just finding out their methods, their evaluation tools. So I miss professional in-person conferences, because I think that's what I most enjoy. But I did retire in January. So I have this position for now, but when we have new positions in my affiliate coming up, I'm not sure when that's coming up. I probably won't be in this position for now. I think I just want a break, but then we'll come back to it.
Thank you for being here, Michelle. So are you involved with the planning at all for the Rhode Island?
No.
No. Okay.
I need it. When I first retired, I was still involved in a lot of things that it took at least 6 months for me to feel retired. And I think I need to feel retired for a while, and then I'll get active again.
Thank you. Anyone else want to share?
I have not been to that many because I have not been a member for too long. This is Ibelis Colon from North Carolina. But I think those sessions that offer hands-on activities, or even if it's financial management, things that you can do at a moment that it doesn't take that long. I like them the most because then the participants can put in practice what we are sharing with them.
Thanks. I agree with that. We want small steps that they can apply to life. We want it life relevant. So some great ideas there. Becky, did you want to share, or we can go ahead for go? We had some good thoughts there.
Yeah, I'm new in my position, but we just did a Eastern Region program highlight webinar, and we had about 6 presentations that were about 10 minutes long, similar to the Ignite sessions. And it's great to learn about what everyone's doing in the surrounding states. And there was a lot of networking and collaborating at the end of those sessions. So that was really great.
Thank you for sharing that, because that was one thing that we did hear. Elizabeth and Danielle can confirm this, that they wanted to network more at the conference. So
it was a great way to facilitate some, cross-state collaborations, which have definitely been encouraged lately.
okay, yes, I agree with that too, that we see so many collaborations so maybe there's such a thing that the professional development can do something like that too on a timely basis every quarter or something. So,
yeah, I agree.
Okay, thank you, Becky. All right, we'll go ahead to our next slide so we can take a look. I thought it would be good for us to think about what we think of as great professional development, but we also wanted to look at the objectives for today. And so we want to gain a knowledge of the Professional Development Committee. I don't know how familiar you are with that, so we are going to take a look at some of the specifics around the committee. Then I also encourage you to join and recruit other members for professional development committees. Actually, I shouldn't say just for, I guess I should say for all committees, but I want you to be on a committee that you feel you have value giving feedback and input into also. And then hopefully you can remember to solicit webinar proposals from members or partner members and sponsors. And so we are expanding that some. That partner members and sponsors is a new part of that, although we just had a webinar from the Alzheimer's Association. And so I did not have the opportunity to participate in that. My schedule is really busy currently. So, but I do want to, get feedback from Elizabeth and Danielle and them about how many participants we had. And I want you also to know the value of, we have recorded webinars. So we really need to be utilizing them too, because they could be a great source, especially maybe for new educators, or if you're looking for a particular topic area that's been covered. What a great way to, go to a piece of professional development, which I've also added some points in there about the value of the webinars that we provide. So I'll look forward to sharing that too. And then just be aware of professional development opportunities. So Will, you can go ahead there. So as we get into the professional development, build a structure of that particular committee, it's chaired by myself currently. And but it's structured into 2 committees. How many of you are aware that of the 2 committees that function underneath the professional development? I see some head shakes no. So we will look at the goals of those committees. So actually one is charged more with the program development, which is more related to the annual session. And then we have another committee that is chaired with the webinars. So and then we also, these 2 committees are to achieve the goals of the strategic plan and focus on the priorities of the executive board and membership, with emphasis on coordinating diverse educational opportunities. So I'm trying to make sure we have this diverse educational opportunities Not everyone has the funds to go attend annual session. So, but we have great webinars that they can be participating in and networking with individuals in that way also. It's suggested that the committee be 30 to 40 members, and I was surprised by this. I know that there are, I don't know, I need to check with Will and them what my committee size is, but I don't believe it's that 30 to 40 members currently. And then I also will be checking if I have representation from all the regions, which would be important. I'm thinking that I probably have that covered, but I know I do not have 30 to 40 members. All right, so let's look at these committee goals. Will, that's the next slide there. And so I told you the two subcommittees. So the first is to provide innovative professional development opportunities via online webinars for NEAFCS members monthly. And then the other subcommittee is charged with providing innovative professional development opportunities for extension, family, and consumer sciences professionals. So, like I said, the one is the program development, more for the annual session, and then the other subcommittee does the monthly webinars, or it's not necessarily monthly. Those webinars can be sent for review at any time. So there's another opportunity too. We need reviewers for those webinars, because just like the proposals for annual session are reviewed 5 times, so are the webinars. So if you'd be interested in being a reviewer for the webinars that are received, let me know that too. Or if you can recruit individuals from your affiliate, that would be great too. All right, let's look at this strategic plan that is our responsibilities as the professional development committee. So we have 3 goals. So that's what you see listed here. So the first goal is to enhance growth opportunities for our members through professional development, program sharing, and leadership personal development. So that's goal number 1. Underneath that goal, there are 3 strategies. So actually, I'm going to have us do some brainstorming about the strategies that are listed under that goal. The next goal is to enhance the professional through year-round opportunities for professional development that build core competency in extension program areas. That's a whole lot there, core competencies and year-round. So again, I would encourage you to encourage your membership to look at those archived webinars and enable to, and we'll also look at the strategy that's listed under there. There's just one strategy that's listed under there, but again, we'll do some brainstorming. And then the final one, the third goal that they have for us under professional development is enhance opportunities for asset building for members. So those are our goals. Does anybody want to share anything related to that?
Can you clarify what you mean by asset building?
Asset building? That could be, I think, being a professional, being a mentor or mentee. It could be skills too, I think, as far as asset building. Other thoughts there, anyone?
I think kind of like what you were saying, Marcia, I think it builds kind of your resume kind of asset that you've had opportunities for leadership growth that'll help you seek maybe a leadership position like that, or maybe even other job opportunities because of the experiences that you're gained from this, that we gained from this.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane, for sharing that. Anyone else? Thoughts? All right, so we are into this brainstorming topic here. And so goal number 1 was enhance growth opportunities for our members through professional development, program sharing, and leadership personal development. So strategy number 1 that they listed was enhance professional development offerings from experts. They gave the examples of extension specialist, state program leadership, external partners to provide webinars, pre-conference, and on-site in-depth sessions. So anybody have any ideas related to that? And I can drop that line into the chat too. I thought that might be helpful to you since I didn't create a slide for each of these strategies. So let me grab that if I can here. There we have what that first strategy is under that goal number 1.
Did you put it in the chat? Because I'm not seeing it.
Oh, you know what? I didn't hit enter there. Sorry. Thanks, Jane.
You know, as the vice chair in my state, maybe I need to do a better job of encouraging our specialists to submit a proposal to present a webinar. And so maybe each state affiliate needs to do a better job reaching out to our specialists.
I love that idea, Jane. I was just thinking when I read this one that the Western states have fairly recently, within a year, formed a food preservation group, especially when Elizabeth Anders retired in that. But I just heard from, she's actually in food science, but she's helping to support food preservation from Oregon State University. And she just gave an amazing Zoom talk on tomatoes, but the science behind and her research of why they make these recommendations in that. She did it for some of our volunteers and educators, and it was outstanding. And I was thinking, oh, if others around the nation need that, that would be a great one. So I agree with you. You know, ask those specialists or maybe even sometimes outside of that, because I don't think she's an extension specialist. She's just been asked to help with that, and she's a professor in food science. So.
And that brings up an interesting thing. As I hope you all know, we did, our bylaws did change this year in Raleigh, and we did expand our membership. We do have a new membership type, and that may take a couple of years to really come to fruition as each state needs to tackle how they're going to handle that. And so, but there is now that opening within NEAFCS's membership to where they will become members, or they can become members, and therefore they could bring some of those aspects to bear in a webinar like you're talking about. They would be eligible, in other words, to offer a webinar. So some outreach to those as that progresses might be a good idea. But I also wanted to bring up, we did have, you mentioned networking earlier, and we were offering, we call it Connecting with Colleagues. It got started about 2 years ago. We had 3 or 4 of them successfully, but we need to revitalize, or we could revitalize that program. It is not a webinar per se. It is not supposed to be, the original aspect was, intention was not to be one person or a group of people presenting, you know, a PowerPoint and a whole program to everybody. Instead, they were acting as facilitators, getting the members who were on there with them to have an open discussion, talking about things like food preservation. I think that was the first one we did, and it was pretty well received and attended. And then we continued the conversation utilizing our online forum so people could share the programs that they do or that they've been involved in. We even had updates on what was going on with Ball and their jars and their lids and everything. So that might be something, Marcia, that you may want to consider adding into your committee or one of your committees somewhere. And our professional development VPs here might help us lead the charge on that to get some new blood into that, as well as topics and areas, since they have their whole state, and hopefully knowing what kind of networking opportunities, what kind of topics they would like to discuss.
That's what I was thinking. It'd be great if we could get the topics out there in advance so people would know those topics and then be able to participate in that, connecting with colleagues. So thanks, Danielle, for sharing that connection or link there too. And then go ahead, Evelise.
Thank you. And thank you for the correct pronunciation.
Oh.
I had a question about the connecting with colleagues. Is that something you mentioned, Will, that was done a few years ago, is still going on, or it paused during the height of the pandemic?
I can't blame the pandemic. It just, the interest in it, it just kind of dropped off. It was only being handled by like 2 people. And I really feel like that might have been the problem, that we just need more support for it. We need like a committee or a team of people dedicated to it. Obviously, we can run surveys to get the topics that people want to do, or however we want to do that. But yes, it wasn't the pandemic. We just need enough fresh blood in there to really support that program.
Thank you for clarifying.
And I see Crystal added something. So this is another new thing that I have too, is that I do have a letter that was drafted that we can give to people that potentially would be, that we want them to present a webinar or a session for us. So I don't believe that's posted to our national site yet, but oh, Will's gonna respond here.
Actually, it was. We just sent it out. I think it was last week. We sent that invitation letter along with an explanation. It went to all active members so that they can help us find those topics and speakers that may be outside of the traditional NEAFCS membership. And we also uploaded that letter. It's on the webinar page now at the bottom. Where the portal is to submit a webinar, there's also a link to that. So if you want to go on there to take a look at it, if you didn't get that email, it is definitely up there. And it's, as Marcia mentioned, it's just a quick template that you can easily substitute out your information in when you extend that invitation to somebody.
Okay. Thank you so much, Will, for correcting me. And I do remember seeing that come out too. So okay, I don't want to spend too much time. So that's one of the goals, our strategies that's under goal 1. I'm going to put the second one in the chat box here too for us. And so, and I'll read it aloud here too, which it is to provide an opportunity for 2 types of proposals for annual session: a professional development, which they consider concurrent sessions, posters, and then program sharing is more seen as the ignites. Our concurrent sessions, it says there, hot topics are trends that reflect research-based, evidence-based, or best practices. So thoughts on that related to professional development for annual session?
Marcia, I'll just say something to this topic, and it's a little not specifically related to this, but one of the things the board talked about last year was members are probably not as inclined to submit a proposal unless they're invited to do so. You know, it might be that they're afraid, they may be new to it, or they may just feel like, you know, they're not ready to do it yet. But one of the things that was discussed is, you know, if our members knew that, you know, Jane Smith had a great presentation or research on, you know, something, it would be great if the members would reach out to the individual and say, you know, we hope you would submit a proposal. We would love to hear about an annual session. Because then I think we would see more variety of proposals in the different tracks, which is something, you know, we are trying to work towards. So I wonder if just being the VP of professional development within your affiliate, you could kind of be that voice to get individuals, whether to do that yourself or say, hey, you know, tap people on the back and say, do you know people that can, you know, present on certain topics, or do you know someone who has a great research that can, you know, submit a proposal? So a little bit related to that conversation, it's just something that, you know, we discussed at a board level. I think we would see more proposals and a variety of proposals if you all as members were kind of doing the outreach to get people to submit.
I'm thinking again, that could be a partnership with our specialists too. You know, what are our programs that are, you know, the stars in our state or whatever. And whether that be specialists or some of the times that's individual educators that are doing great programs out in the county that should be shared. So I get that members need to encourage other members, or maybe it's even specialists encourage members to submit to present those concurrent sessions.
So I have a question. Do we want to share? I know FCS is like the do-it-all in the community, right? In society, we from the babies to the all the seniors and everybody else. If there's a question, it comes through FCS most of the time. So that I'm trying to think, do we have a guidance of topics, or it could be anything? Because
we do. We have tracks, and actually I have the proposed tracks for 2023. So in a slide coming up here. So, and they have, it was proposed by those that are planning for the annual session 2023 that we coincide those with the ECOP and some other initiatives that are going on currently. And so the committee, my committee, our executive committee, they met and boiled that down to those 10 tracks, well, with guidance from the liaison group also. So there's been a lot of work done around the track refinement or development, you might say, this year, but that's looked at each year. I know that that's not something new.
So I think one of the things, you know, as the VP for my state, and you know, all of our states are different, but we have representatives on my committee within my state from all the areas, because, you know, I'm from Indiana, and so I don't know what people are doing in Southern Indiana, but maybe we need to put more really responsibilities into our state professional development VPs. I need to get the people on my committee to contact the area directors who oversee these because they're the ones that know the great work that they're doing. And so then I think it's a personal ask, like somebody said too, say, hey, we heard that you did this great program, because they wrote out, because we have to do monthly communiques and then in turn. And so it might show more value too to our state professional developments if we actually give them a role to play in that, maybe saying, here, this is one of your responsibilities, is to kind of help look for some of those.
I like that idea, Jane.
when does the portal open up for proposals? Didn't it-
December 1.
Okay, I was gonna say it used to be December 1, but I couldn't. I was
Yeah.
doing a quick look,
Yeah,
probably
it's
on the
early.
website, but okay, just making sure.
So a
Okay.
question, another question,
Sure.
although
Sure.
I know we have to keep on, but is there, well, I guess there's guidance for sessions for national, this is first time I'm participating in this meeting. Because the same way that members say, well, I don't know if my work is worthy of an award. They may say, well, I don't know if my work is worthy of a session to be presented nationally.
So the professional development committee does present a thing at session about how to go about writing a proposal and so on. So I'm not sure how much the membership is aware of that. You know, there's so many other things going on. So maybe we look at that, doing that as a webinar also. But so.
Yeah, but you can also get the rubric. But I think we got to be real. I think just like for me, even applying for awards, it's like I got so many things on my plate that sometimes submitting a proposal to present at national is on the back burner because of everything that I'm trying to get done. And that's why it really is takes somebody to encourage people to do that and going, hey, you kind of already have it together and you need to do that. You know, like we're having our state kind of conference and they're looking for proposals. It just came out and it's like in 2 weeks. You know, it's like, oh, that's one more thing I'd have to add to my plate. And so it's really, people aren't going to add it to their plate unless we encourage them to put it on there.
All right, I went ahead and added the third strategy that's under this first goal, which is build members' leadership skills through meaningful professional development committee work. So I think that Jane was just talking about that too, potentially. And I also know that NEAFCS had the opportunity for leadership experience where members could apply to be mentors for mentees in other states and so on. So I did take that on this year. So that's been very interesting to me. However, I'm sad to report that my mentee has left Extension. So, you know, there's lots of challenges that we're dealing with. So, because I always feel in that partnership, as a mentor, I gain things from the mentee, and I hope that I impart things to my mentee too that benefit them. So I don't know if anybody else has anything for strategies there. And someone mentioned this earlier too. I mean, someone's going to need to be the vice president of professional development. You know, I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life. So we need to be planting those seeds for those roles too. And I know that I've seen that some members were upset, or they wanted to be able to choose a candidate rather than just the person became the VP. And so I see both sides of that, but I know I said no the first time I was asked, and then I said yes the second time. So and Jane's already talked about how full our plates are, so I can relate to that. So I'm so glad you're here, VPs, today to help us brainstorm around this idea.
As a recent retiree, someone, you know, a life member now, I think that if we could draw upon other life members to help review promotion packets. I know I've been asked to do that for several members in other states, and I really enjoyed doing that. So, you know, I mean, that's helps people again move through their professional careers, you know, not directly through a proposal, you know, for submitting a proposal or whatever. But I mean, I know that, you know, offering to be an external reviewer is something that life members might have the time to do, because it is a time-consuming and very, very important role. So maybe, encouraging our life members and retirees to step up in that way.
I like that idea. Thanks, Michelle, for sharing that. All right. Let's get into then our second goal and the IT strategy. And that second goal was to enhance the professional through year-round opportunities for professional development that build core competency in extension program areas. And so this one said expand technology-based educational opportunities, including but not limited to webinars, podcasts, Facebook Live, and tweet chat is what it said. I'll go ahead and try to paste that into the chat so it's there too. Ideas about that. I guess the thing that comes to my mind is that connecting with colleagues is what comes to mind as I'm reading that, which I think sounds like something that we do want to possibly revigorate.
What about like at the at annual session, there were some people that did some good workshops on that, getting them to turn it into a webinar.
So you mean like the TikTok one?
Well, there was one that was all about the equipment and things you needed.
Mhm.
So it wasn't exactly a TikTok one, but so
Okay.
then not everybody that was able to go to the annual session could also maybe learn from that.
So Jane, help me. You were saying the equipment was that to do a podcast?
Yeah, they were doing some of them on social media and talked about how you need the ring light and the microphone. I'd have to go back and look at what it was really called. But I know some people went to some other ones. But yeah.
So that might be a possibility to look at annual session sessions and encourage them to do webinars. Did I capture that correctly?
Take the same session, but turn it into a webinar for us.
Okay. In being respectful of time here, then, anyone, anything for that goal number 2? I'm gonna grab that goal number 3. And this one was enhance opportunities for asset building for members. And the strategy that they had here is provide at least 2 structured sessions at annual session to allow members to meet other professionals in specialized programming areas to build their professional network. So let me put that into the chat here so that you can take a look at that. So, and I know that this year, and Will and Danielle and Elizabeth are on here, we are looking at a networking opportunity in the schedule at annual session that was not there this year, but maybe had been in previous sessions. And I don't know if anyone wants to speak to that or not.
I think that's really a great idea. I think that's really important. I mean, just recalling how annual sessions are, you're always picking and choosing and trying to run from one thing to the other. And sometimes you want to see 2 things that are in the same time slot, so you don't get to meet the other person you didn't get to see. And I think that would be a great benefit. I mean, it was always wonderful. The networking was always such a positive thing that came out of sessions.
Thanks, Michelle. Anybody else thoughts?
I'm thinking here in North Carolina, most of our specialists are not members of our association, just because they have their own areas, particular areas. So my question is, are those professionals in specialized program areas need to be members or not necessarily?
That's a good question. Well, I'm thinking like in North Carolina, somebody else can go if they want, but the Alzheimer's Association did the wellness things. And there was different entities that Alzheimer, like the YMCA was one entity that worked with the group. And then another one was a gardener that may have been a specialist also. I'd have to go back and look at the details of that, but not too many people took advantage of those opportunities though to do those events. So
that's why I asked, was asking, do we have specific tracks that we are guided by? So we are not presenting something that not that many people or anybody is going to participate in.
okay.
I think I interpreted that very differently. I think the way I heard it was that it would be opportunities. Let's say I'm a finance educator, so I might attend this social hour or something with other people who identify as finance educators, but I might also teach in areas of, working on the Excite program. There could be, for immunization education, there could be an Excite hour or something like that. So I wouldn't want to be torn if, many of us are either generalists where we just cover everything, or we might have multiple programs. So we might have more than one specialty per se that we would want to, partake in that particular social hour. I'm just calling it social hour. I don't know what else to call it. Networking hour. So that's what I was hearing it as, not necessarily being specialist driven. It's more of a specialty area that we cover as educators. So it would be on the educator level.
That's what I was thinking. It's kind of like what they did at Grand Rapids. We did, but it was over the internet, is then they had these breakout rooms. So like I went to one for other people that are teaching mental health first aid. And then they had one that's trying to reach out to the Latinx community. But the thing is, we were talking about that when we were in Raleigh, some of us, that they weren't, I went, nobody attended. Well, that wasn't exactly my case, but you have to be strategic of when you do it, because some people are like, oh, now here we have free time for 30 minutes, which might happen. And so really a smaller group might be better if the people aren't really engaged to networking with you. But I liked it with the Grand Rapids when they did that, because I met some people that I could connect with for ideas.
Thanks, Jane. Okay. Well, I have some notes on each of those little strategies there. So I appreciate all that discussion, brainstorming kind of thoughts there. And we'll see how we can capitalize on that as we move into 2023 session. Okay, Will, let's go ahead and start looking at those tracks for 2023. So they are summarized down to 10 tracks. And so in this here slide, we have 4 of them. And you can see the first line is kind of the topic, and then the members of the board thought it was very important that we have descriptors behind most of them. So you'll see the descriptors there for the different tracks. So there's 4 of them. The next slide contains 3, because financial health and capability, they were lots of topics there that they listed for that. And so that gets us up to 7. So we have 3 remaining. And there's the remaining 3, which there you see, we tend to have one that is a category that's broad. If for some reason you don't think it fits in any of the other categories, so they call it trending topics this year. And then they also kept that education, leadership, and diversity. They felt that that was so important. And that is where the life member fits into that too. So they had in the past had a track that was called Life Member, but they have added that to that education, leadership, and diversity. So, all right. So then I just briefly touched on member benefits. So this is one thing that is stressed to us, that the professional development they provide, whether it's state, regional, or national, is free webinars for all members and sponsored by NEAFCS, and is valued at $50 each or more. So I thought that was pretty cool. You know, some of the times members are reluctant in our states to become part of this national organization, but if you took advantage of a webinar every month of the year, look at the value that you're getting from your membership. In our current annual fee is $100. So that means if you attend 2 months, you potentially have recouped your cost. Then I just again stress that there are recorded and archived webinars for us to take advantage of too. If your members miss them, or they start a new program and there's something that's archived that they can use as a resource, by all means take care of it. Then I just was thinking, how many have participated in an NEAFCS webinar this year? I did, I know. I missed one yesterday that I wanted to check out, but and then how about has anybody watched a recording? I have not watched a recording, so there's some there that I'd probably like to take advantage of, but my schedule is not allowing that at this time. So then we want to make sure that we're recruiting for reviewers for your state. And so you can assist your affiliate president in that role of recruiting reviewers, whether it be for the proposals for annual session or for reviewing webinars that we receive through the years. And as we talked about today, we're encouraging you also to reach out to your specialists and your members, or an annual session that you attended that you think should be turned into a webinar. So some great additions to that. Then we just talked about why you would want to become that proposal reviewer. It just helps you learn the review process. It also serves NEAFCS, which it can be listed on your promotion document and curriculum vitae. And then it's done online, so it doesn't take a long time and you can do it on your time too. So just encouraging you to sign up today to become a proposal or webinar reviewer. And then I talked about how to do it. You can notify your state affiliate president, or you're more than welcome to email me. There's my email, mparcell@purdue.edu, and tell me you'd like to be review proposals. And if you tell me about webinars, there is a category, kind of the tracks. If there's specific things that you're an expert at that you want to be a reviewer for those, because we receive all different subject areas, or if you just want to do all of them. All right, and then I shared with you the professional development, the program subcommittee here. Currently it's co-chaired by Carla Belzer and Amber Allen, and then we have the chair-elect and so on. And so all the contacts are there for that group. And then I've also included the webinar group. And so the chair there is Misty Harmon. And then we just are getting close on time here. So we'll share this, I understand, in the Twitter feed. And so Julie Gardner Robinson, our current president of our organization, she is looking for people to do a survey for this. And so I shared that link here if you want to take advantage of that. And we're going to send a follow-up email from this recording. So I'll be sure to include that in there. But she's just looking, she's hoping to get colleagues from all over the US to do that in her research. So I'm sure she would greatly appreciate if you can share that with colleagues and so on. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to say that we're trying to, our hope is to help provide better professional development. So we want success for all of our professionals. And I thank you for what you are doing as your affiliate vice president. And so we are just wrapping close to the end here. And so one of the things that NEAFCS has made their tagline, and Will, if you'll go to the next slide, it is to network, grow, and succeed. And so I hope that you will assist your state affiliate president in their role of recruiting reviewers, website proposals, annual session proposals, join a committee, encourage other members to use their membership benefits. And so we kind of stop here to say, what questions or ideas do you have? Did we miss anything? That's what we have to share today. Was that fast and furious?
Lots of information, but good information.
Thank you, Lois.
And those webinar archives are there on the website, and we did split them into categories. And so if you click on any, we tried to group them appropriately. And so when you click on a category, it will bring up every webinar that we've done on that. And they are all uploaded so that you can watch them. Any handouts and things that go with them are also on there. So that's something that I hope to start advertising more on our social media as reminders of events that happened, a year ago, 2 years ago, even 3 years ago, and familiarize people with that, because again, you can watch it. It's available 24/7. You just have to log into our website and then you can access them anytime. So instead of doom scrolling on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram, or Lord help you if you're on CNN doom scrolling, don't do that. Guilty. You could you could scroll through some of our previously recorded webinars and perhaps learn something a little new, or at least distract yourself from something that you probably don't want to be watching online. So that's my little plug for the archives. I personally love online learning. I've always taken advantage of it in my professional career. I learn things from everywhere, from YouTube to TikTok, to be honest, I do. But I love this. So my own association has something similar, and I'm always in and out of it, trying to see what they've offered recently, or if I do need it for something like, let's say, hotel negotiation or contract negotiation, which is kind of like one of your programming areas, then I can go and I can find stuff specifically on that, which does make my investment in my membership fees much more palatable to me to spend that money every year, knowing that if I can't make it to the annual session because they offer one, or if I can't make it to any of the live roundtables, which they do offer in town, I can at least go online and learn there. So certainly encourage any of your members who do have those questions, they can reach out to Marcia, or they can reach out to the national office at membership@neafcs.org anytime. We will help them get connected with Marcia, or whatever we need to do.
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm also a member of the diversity subcommittee. Is that a subcommittee of this committee? Which box do I fit in? Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, because I had that thought earlier while we were discussing member benefits, and I really feel personally that it's under the membership or the member resources VP, which is Gina Lucas this year. And they have the journal as well, which is another great professional development opportunity, talking about building assets for people, as Marcia mentioned, that probably a large part of that does have to do with things you can put on your resume, your Vita, or what have you, utilize, showcasing what you've done. And so that's another great opportunity, because just like you can submit for webinars, you can submit to the peer-reviewed journal that we have. And like you said, the diversity committee, which I think dovetails with the call for proposals really, really well, because a large part of what they've been trying to do is help increase that diversity in proposals that are submitted, so that we can have a more diverse area of programming at annual session.
So I have another idea of this idea of dovetailing. So, if you, I think you might be aware of this. So I worked with Malu, we call her Maria Luisa Tejas from Penn State. We sent out a national survey to all NEAFCS members to learn how people are handling, and if they are handling, translating our outreach materials into Spanish language documents, or even webinars or presentations. And I mean, in terms of professional development, I mean, it might be, I mean, what we found is that extension really, at least in FCS, is not universally funding positions or efforts to create materials in or have materials translated into Spanish language. And I would love to see a sort of a call for that, for proposals, so that if anyone is doing that well in their state, that they could present a webinar or something, or a session on how they achieve that in their state. Because, the survey really indicated that, people really know there's a great need for this. And, we just started with Spanish language because that is such a vast need. But of course, there are so many diverse languages nationally.
Absolutely.
Great question, Michelle. And I love the thought too. So, because I'm sure there are some people that could speak to how they're tackling that in their state.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been a problem in New Jersey, and in just what we learned is that, people, well, will ask a colleague to do it, but it's not really part of their job description. So they'll do it in their spare time and they won't get compensated. And then it's not, necessarily professionally done or tailored to, or if you go outside and use a professional translator, is that tailored to your community?
Right, the group that
dialect?
you're sharing it with, because
because
dialects.
Spanish is not the same Spanish depending upon where your community is from. And it's really, it's a very, very important issue that we have to tackle in our professional development and our serving the community.
That sounds like a task force idea. A way of Marcia, I see you're taking notes. I mean, we don't have anything like that obviously in place yet, but I mean, that doesn't sound far-fetched to me. As you said, I'll tell you, I've worked with several associations that have a similar problem. Here in Florida, Spanish as a first language is very, very, very common. But again, it's not as easy as just having a grad student, or not grad student, I shouldn't say that, but somebody who's, learned Spanish as a second language, who volunteers to do it, even if it's for, compensation. You're correct, having that concern of, are they going to be speaking the dialect, the local dialect, speaking in a way that makes sense and connects with your clientele. But I'm sure, I would assume, and this is an assumption, and we all know about those, but I would assume there should be probably in every state some sort of local organization that makes it their job to do outreach to the Spanish speaking community, and could perhaps partner with your extension offices to either provide the service or to get you a reputable person, local, who knows how to speak the dialect, that could do that for you. So, I mean, I would imagine that would be mainly a case of surveying our members and finding out who might have those ins, who could tell us. And like you said, especially if we know how someone else has done it, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's
they've
really
already
important, and
found it.
especially how they get it funded, because some of the feedback we got on the survey was, well, it was funded through this grant, but it's not sustained funding. So you may have had it done for one program, but you don't have it for your next program. So I think it's really a higher level extension, directors.
Yes.
It has to go back to them, to the leadership.
And finding a good community partnership too. I know a lot of y'all's programming, because I see it with the awards, having to do with that community partnership and getting those community partners in to help you. So, because I know you guys don't act like a standard, you're not a company, you're not, a for-profit organization or anything like that. So you don't have like necessarily a standing budget where you can have a line item,
Right.
to have in there so that you do are able to offer it year after year. Because we learned very quickly that if you offer it once or twice, people are going to want it. And then if you can't offer it again, they're not going to like that.
Yeah.
So, and then you lose your toehold and your ability to move forward. So yeah, I would think that running a survey, getting down to our members and asking them for, have you done this and how have you done this, we could potentially get either
Yeah.
the colleagues that we talked about early, connecting with colleagues on it so we can share ideas.
Yeah.
That might be a great topic to revitalize.
Yeah.
I can't speak. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that's a very important
I think
area.
it's very important. So there's has to be some crosstalk between member resources and this committee about that. Like I said, I'm retired. I want to be retired. But I knew that Malu wants to continue this work and needs other partners to follow up. I mean, in the e-newsletter, I think we're at time, but I know in the NEAFCS electronic newsletter in October, I think we published a little, whatever, how many words, 500 words we were allowed to talk about the survey that we did.
Mhm.
So, but there's more data that we didn't have a chance to share. And we need people, maybe a task force, whatever you want to call it, but we need more people to continue exploring what can be done about this issue.
Okay.
Well, and I'll just say this, NEAFCS committees, they are not islands. I mean, they can be, but the idea is not for them to be islands. So as I said, I know Gina Lucas is our VP for membership or member resources. And there's nothing saying that committees can't get together and work hand in hand. And in fact, that might be an important step with us being able to achieve our strategic plan goals between the different committees, the different aspects. There might need to be that bridging done to help move us forward.
Excellent point, Will. And I think that we kind of showed that because I referenced different groups at different times on the call today. So thanks everyone for your participation, and we look forward to providing meaningful professional development in the year ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.